Now, here in the United States, February is Black History Month, a time when observances pay tribute to people and events that shaped the history of African Americans. VOA's Chris Simkins reports on a place right here in Washington where people are learning about Frederick Douglass, who was born a slave but became a leading abolitionist.
Tourists come to this home in search of a slice of African American history.
Now, the irons that you see up here, these are various irons that the Douglass family used. This iron is really interesting. This is an iron that's for putting ruffles in a woman's dress. So it sort of demonstrates the type of people who were living in the house.
This is the Washington, D.C. home that belonged to African American leader Frederick Douglass after slavery was abolished in 1865. Here, people can learn about the life of Frederick Douglass. He became a leading abolitionist after escaping slavery. National Park Service Ranger Camille McLaren says people who visit the home come away inspired.
That transition from slavery to freedom and living in a home like this really provides the public with tremendous inspiration and demonstrating those notions of self-determination. You can rise from nothing to something.
This home is called Cedar Hill. He purchased it in a whites-only neighborhood, a crowning achievement for Douglass, considered the founder of the American Civil Rights Movement. Douglass and his family lived here from 1877 to his death in 1895. Here people see how he lived, and they learn about his journey from a dedicated opponent of slavery in early 19th century America to an advocate of women's rights to one of the most respected African American orators of the 1800s.
If you have heard anything or read anything about Douglass, you probably heard people mention that his voice rivaled Daniel Webster, who was one of the great orators of the 19th century.
Thomas Fenske, a historian, brought his friends to the Frederick Douglass home. He says in the 1970s, tourists stopped coming here because it had fallen into disrepair. He's glad it's been renovated and is now a National Historic Site.
Frederick Douglass was very, very important as a founder of the Civil Rights Movement. He talked with President Lincoln, advised Lincoln on various things, and of course was one of our country's great writers. So I think it's important to have a house like this to keep his memory alive.
More than 60,000 people have visited the home since it was restored in 2006. Sarah Ward is one of them.
I learned that Frederick Douglass escaped from being a slave, and he went through a lot of hard times, but he taught himself how to read and write and became very educated and successful.
Susan Nako from New York brought her family so her son Simon could learn about Douglass.
Simon's list for his first grade class for Black History Month did not include Frederick Douglass. And I'm appalled because he's my hero from when I was a little girl.
Michael Scott and his wife came from nearby Virginia. He says it's important for African Americans to learn about their leaders.
This day and time, a lot of African American children don't know about Frederick Douglass. They don't know about, in order for us to go forward, we got to remember our past, where we came from, and those who paved the way for us.
The National Park manages Frederick Douglass's home. It says it's been working on expanding the tour as interest grows among people seeking knowledge about great African American leaders. Chris Simkins, VOA News, Washington.
Wow, magnificent there.
Yeah, you know, that's one thing I really like about Black History Month.
Yeah.
It really sometimes brings back things into focus. Frederick Douglass is such an icon, you know, when it comes to Black American history. And I think, you know, giving him a platform like this is so
And also
appropriate.
just reminding people that even then, at those tough times, there were Black people who emerged and became respectable members of society, and they become part of the history of this country and the world. See, that's amazing. And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch In Focus on our website at voaafrica.com.
And of course, please listen to VOA's English service, Africa News, and Daybreak Africa. Thank you so much. Good night.
Good night.